Alright, we're coming in now.
False alarms, woke up, ready to run. Last time, things to us, dry eyes, fighting thirst. Got that switch goes like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
It's been 3 years since I released my first ever solo album, Sirens and Stalkers, and I thought I'd take the time to now look back and reflect on that time. As I was reaching the end of high school, I wanted to do something to remember those times and adolescence in general, so I decided to do a compilation of the songs that I had written, especially the ones that I had written between the ages of 16 to 17, because those are the ones that I considered the most important to me. I decided to make the album a emo rock / pop punk album because a lot of the songs that I had written were naturally in that style because of the music that I was listening to, like Paramore and Blink-182 and whatnot. But I thought that it also reflected the angst and emotions that I was going through as a teenager. These songs were written when I was going through what I now see as an important period of my life, learning about who I really wanted to be and what made me feel different types of emotions, whether it was joy, guilt, sadness, self-pity or darkness. And it also was when I was learning about the ideas of perspectives, morals and intentions, and kind of looking at how I wanted to use those things within my life from now. So the album tells the story of this teenager called Takashi, and the first track, which is Breaking News, is this news report about him being found dead at Lake Batobe, which is a park in Warrnambool. But the news reporter who's reporting his death only has speculations as to why he's dead and not really the real reasoning. So from there, the second track starts, which is Controlled. In this track, Takashi is really hating himself and antagonizing himself, but he also wants the people closest to him to hate him as well because of his mistakes. So he can feel like what he's going through isn't just this delusion in his head, and that he wants to make himself the antagonist and kind of validate his own emotions of being that antagonist. Then in the third track, which is Last Night, Takashi's starting to realize that he's changing, but he doesn't know how to feel about it, if he should be happy or not, because he thinks that changing is not only a way of progression and growing as a person, but it can also mean that you're leaving something important behind as a part of your identity. And he thinks that he's proved his points, but he's also very lost and feels like he's at this shipwreck point. Then comes the fourth track, which is Please Me, and Takashi is now starting to see that his relationships that he has with other people is based on pity and feeling sorry for each other, but not so much about joy and them doing things to each other that they don't even want to do, just out of feeling sorry for each other. And after sitting at a piano for hours and realizing that he had just romanticized all of his pain and agony, he doesn't want anyone to apologize to him for what they did, because he doesn't think he's owed any of it, and he thinks that the best way to get closure on everything is to actually address them, but to let them go and make this imagination in his head that it never really happened and that everything's fine. But the unfortunate reality is that Takashi, because he never gave himself a real closure on these things, nothing's fine, and he unconsciously starts chasing these things like some sort of stalker, and it eventually leads to an obsession. But even though he can see his own demise. He keeps on treating life like it's some theatre novel of Romeo and Juliet. But in the final track, Screaming Sirens, he comes to terms with the fact that it wasn't some imagination in his head and that it was real. And he now remembers that all these feelings and physical touches that he felt were real, and ironically, his death becomes the way of closure. Then it brings us back to the start of the album, Breaking News, where we find him dead at Lake Patobe.